I watched my mate thrust into his female best friend he told me I didn't have to worry about. So I left and now he wants me. How do you get over that? Chapter 1. My cheating mate, Emma POV. The scent hit me first, jasmine and vanilla mixed with Jeremy's pine and earth. My wolf recoiled instantly, a wounded howl echoing through my mind that I barely managed to keep from escaping my throat. I'd come to surprise him. Stupid, naive me. I'd actually baked cookies, his favorite chocolate chip ones, still warm in the container I clutched against my chest like armor that had already failed to protect me. The door to Jeremy's office wasn't fully closed. Through the gap, I could see everything. Jeremy, my mate, my Jeremy, the man who'd promised me forever just 6 months ago when the mate bond snapped into place, had Vanessa pinned against his desk. Her legs were wrapped around his waist, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his shoulders as he thrust into her with an urgency he hadn't shown me in weeks. God, Van, I've missed this, he groaned, his voice rough with pleasure. Vanessa laughed, breathy and triumphant. Worth the wait? I told you that Little Mouse wouldn't satisfy you for long. Little Mouse, the nickname made my stomach turn. I'd heard her call me that before, always with a sweet smile that never reached her cold blue eyes. Jeremy had laughed it off. She's just teasing, Em. Don't be so sensitive. The container slipped from my numb fingers, hitting the floor with a dull thud. Cookies scattered across the hallway tile like broken promises. They didn't even stop. Didn't even hear. How long? The question screamed through my mind. How long had this been going on? I thought back to all the times Jeremy had told me not to worry about Vanessa, his best friend since childhood, the woman who'd been at his side for every pack event, every dinner, every moment that should have been ours. She's family, Emma. You're being paranoid. I can't just cut her out of my life because you're insecure. Why can't you be more understanding, more mature about this? He'd made me feel crazy, made me swallow my instinct, my wolf snarls of warning every time Vanessa touched his arm, whispered in his ear, looked at him with those predatory eyes, and now here they were, not even trying to hide it in some seedy motel or tucked away corner of packed territory, right here, in his office, in the heart of the Crescent Moon pack house where anyone could walk by, where I could walk by. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They wanted me to find out, or at least, they didn't care if I did. Vanessa's moans grew louder, more theatrical. You should just reject her already. We both know I'm your real match. We were meant to be together, Jeremy. You've always known it. I know, baby, I know. Jeremy's voice was strained. Soon, I promise. I just need to handle it carefully. Her father's the pack beta. So, your father's the alpha. What's he going to do? The mate bond twisted in my chest, a searing pain that stole my breath. My wolf howled again, this time in rage as much as hurt. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to burst through that door, to shift and tear them apart, to make them feel even a fraction of this agony. But I couldn't move. I could only stand there, frozen, as my entire world crumbled around me. My father expects me to produce an heir, Jeremy said, his rhythm never faltering. Emma's compliant, easy to control. I'll get her pregnant. Wait until after the heir is born, then reject her. The bond will be harder to break after we've consummated it, but not impossible. Consummated. The word made bile rise in my throat. Every time he'd touched me, every moment of supposed intimacy, it had all been calculation, a breeding program, while he gave his real passion, his real desire, to her. You're terrible, Vanessa purred, clearly delighted, making that poor little mouse think you love her. I never said I loved her. Jeremy's voice was cold now, matter of fact. I said the mate bond chose her. There's a difference. The pain in my chest intensified until I thought my heart might actually stop. The mate bond was supposed to be sacred, the moon goddess's gift. Finding your fated mate was meant to be the greatest blessing a wolf could receive, but Jeremy saw it as a curse, as an obligation to be fulfilled and then discarded. I needed to leave, needed to get out of this hallway before they finished and found me standing here like the pathetic little mouse they thought I was. My legs finally obeyed, carrying me backward on silent feet. Years of training to be the perfect beta's daughter, graceful, quiet, unobtrusive, served me well now. I made it to the stairwell before my knees buckled. I pressed my back against the cold concrete wall, sliding down until I sat on the floor, and finally let the tears come. They fell hot and fast, each one carrying a piece of the future I'd imagined, the home we'd build, the children we'd raise, the lifetime of love and partnership I believed was mine. All lies. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my best friend, Arya. Still on for movie night? I'll bring the good ice cream. Normal. Everything looked so normal from the outside. This morning I'd woken up as Emma Smith, mated to the future alpha, living the life every young she-wolf in the pack envied. Now I was just nothing. A broodmare with an expiration date. No. The word formed in my mind, quiet but firm. My wolf pushed it forward, lending it strength. No. I wasn't going to be their victim. Wasn't going to let them use me, break me, and toss me aside like garbage. I didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I knew I couldn't stay. Couldn't pretend. Couldn't let Jeremy touch me ever again. I pulled myself to my feet, wiping my face with shaking hands. The Emma they'd known, compliant, easy to control, naive enough to believe their lies, that Emma died in that hallway. Whatever came next, whoever I became, she would be someone else entirely. Chapter 2. My cheating mate, Emma POV. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, but my resolve didn't waver. If Jeremy thought he could use me and discard me on his timeline, he had another thing coming. I crept back down the hallway, my wolf lending me the stealth I needed. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to hide, to protect myself from more pain. But I forced myself forward. I needed proof, needed insurance. The door was still cracked open, their sounds of pleasure echoing obscenely through the quiet hallway. My stomach churned, but I steadied my phone and pressed record. The video quality was perfect. Crystal clear footage of Jeremy's face contorted in ecstasy as he thrust into Vanessa, her voice breathy and triumphant. God, you feel so much better than you do with her, don't you? So much better, baby. You know exactly what I need. I kept recording. 30 seconds, a minute, long enough that there could be no doubt, no excuses, no gaslighting about what I'd seen. When are you going to mark me instead? Vanessa asked, trailing her fingers down his chest. Your real mate? Soon as I can figure out how to break her father's influence with the pack. Beta Marcus thinks the sun rises and sets on his precious daughter. My father. God, my father was going to be devastated. But he'd also be the first one to demand justice once he saw this. I stopped recording and sent the video to 3 places. My personal email, Aria's phone with a message to not open it unless something happened to me, and a hidden folder in my cloud storage. Then I deleted it from my phone's camera roll. If Jeremy got suspicious and checked my phone, he wouldn't find anything. Only then did I run. I made it to the pack house entrance before the tears started again, blurring my vision as I stumbled toward the parking lot. My little sedan looked like salvation. I practically threw myself inside, locking the doors before the sobs took over completely. 5 minutes. I gave myself 5 minutes to fall apart. Then I started the engine and drove home to the small house Jeremy and I shared on the edge of pack territory. A starter home, he'd called it, though now I wondered if he'd always planned for it to be temporary. Maybe he'd already picked out the mansion where he'd live with Vanessa after I was discarded. The house was empty when I arrived, thank God. Jeremy wouldn't be home for hours, probably not until after he'd thoroughly satisfied himself with his best friend. I moved through the rooms like a ghost, trying to figure out what to take, what mattered. Everything here felt contaminated now, tainted by his lies. But I forced myself to be practical. Clothes. I pulled out a large duffel bag and started stuffing it with essentials. Jeans, shirts, underwear, my favorite sweater that had belonged to my grandmother. I left behind anything Jeremy had bought me. I didn't want his gift, his claims on me, documents, my birth certificate, passport, the title to my car that was solely in my name. Thank the moon goddess I'd insisted on that. My college transcript, the small amount of jewelry my mother had left me when she died. Money I'd been saving for years in a separate account Jeremy didn't know about. Money from the part-time job I'd kept despite his protest that his mate didn't need to work. I'd always told myself it was for emergencies. This definitely qualified. I grabbed my laptop, my phone charger, and the framed photo of my parents from my nightstand. Everything else could burn for all I cared. The hardest part was my wolf. She was howling in my head, a constant keen of pain that made my hands shake and my chest ache. The mate bond was screaming at us to stay, to wait for him, to try to fix this somehow. But beneath the bond's pull was something stronger, her rage. She'd never liked Vanessa, had always sensed the threat, and she was done being ignored. We leave, she snarled in my mind. Asterisk, we run. We survive, asterisk. I was throwing the last of my things in the car when my phone rang. My father's name flashed across the screen. My heart seized. Did he know already? Had someone told him? Hey, Dad, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. Emma, sweetheart, I just wanted to check in. Your mother's anniversary is coming up next week, and I thought we could visit her grave together. Maybe have dinner after? My mother. God, I'd almost forgotten. It would be 15 years since the rogue attack that took her life. I'd like that, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Dad, I almost told him everything. Almost broke down and confessed what I'd discovered, what Jeremy had done. But something stopped me. If I told him now, he'd come over. He'd confront Jeremy, and I needed to be gone first. Needed to be somewhere safe before everything exploded. I love you, I said instead. I need you to know that. No matter what happens. Silence on the other end. Then, carefully, Emma, is something wrong? I just miss Mom today. That's all. He didn't believe me. I could hear it in his pause. But he respected my privacy enough not to push. I love you too, sweetheart. Always. And I'm here if you need me. For anything. I know, Dad. I'll call you soon, okay? After we hung up, I sat in my car and let myself cry one more time. For my mother, who'd never get to see me truly mated and happy. For my father, who was about to watch his daughter's marriage implode. For the future I'd believed in that morning. Then I wiped my face, started the engine, and began to drive. I didn't have a destination yet. Just away. Away from Jeremy. Away from Vanessa. Away from the Crescent Moon Pack and all its politics and expectations. My phone buzzed with a text from Jeremy, running late at the office. Don't wait up for dinner. I almost laughed. The audacity. The shamelessness. I typed back. No problem. Take your time. Let him think everything was fine. Let him believe I was home, waiting like a good little mate, completely oblivious to his betrayal. By the time he realized I was gone, I'd be long past pack borders. And then, when the moment was right, I'd destroy him.